Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be putting two brands, I don't really want to say head to head because I'm not making them compete against each other. It's not the battle of the brands here, but I'm going to be doing a full face of two what I would consider to be kind of like similar brands that have the same type of vibe. I did a video like this back in February and I put Rare Beauty and M Cosmetics together. And one of the top comments there was to put Fenty and NARS together, and so that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to be using a very well-rounded mix of products, both new and old launches, and I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on all the products that I'm going to be putting on my face today. Let me know in the comments what other brands you'd like to see me put head to head. I did get today's video suggestion for my last comment section, so feel free to leave me all of your suggestions down below and hit the thumbs up button if you do enjoy today's video, and subscribe if you're not a part of the fam yet and want to join. That's all I gotta say. Let's get started. My skin has already been prepped, moisturized, it's ready to go. We are going to start off this video with a NARS product. I'm gonna be using the Tinted Glow Booster. This is definitely one of my favorite products that NARS has. It is a glowy base product. It's a very, very natural looking glow, very skin-like. It's not sparkly or shimmery, just gives you that nice skincare-like sheen. Today I'm gonna be using the shade Light. So for me personally, I like to use this product underneath my foundation. I don't really like to put it all over my face. I tend to just put it on the high points of my face where I want that extra bit of glow. It also does leave a nice hydrated feel to the skin too. For my foundation, I'm gonna be switching it to Fenty and we're gonna be using the Eavesdrop Blurring Skin Tint. I love this product. I've basically loved it ever since it was first released. Most skin tints tend to be on the more natural or dewy side, whereas this is more on the matte side. This is called a blurring skin tint because it has more of that soft matte finish to really help kind of blur the pores. I have dry skin, I have dry patches, and most of the time I don't really like to go for foundations that have this type of finish, but for whatever reason, this does work really nicely for my skin. Now, don't get me wrong, if I have a lot of dry patches, this probably won't be the best foundation for me because it will kind of cling to those dry patches if they're really intense. But when my skin is like acting okay and it's dry, but it's not like crazy dry, this is absolutely gorgeous to just give me a really nice, very lightweight coverage, but to also really blur the skin. I do especially like this in the summertime when I am spending a lot of time outside and I'm getting sweaty and hot and I want something that's gonna be lightweight, but that's also going to last on my face. Because this isn't a dewy product, it's just not gonna slip around on the face. So it's really great for those hot, sweaty days. So I tend to gravitate towards this more in the summertime than in the wintertime, but overall it's a really beautiful skin tint. So you could totally apply this with your fingers. I'm going to apply it though with a brush just to get a really nice flawless finish. And I'm going to use the shade 6 today, which should match me pretty perfectly right now. I'm putting just a really thin layer across my entire face just to even out the redness. And that's what I really like about this product. Even though this is a skin tint and the coverage is lightweight, there's still coverage there. And I'm still very easily able to kind of blank out my skin in a very natural looking way. For concealer, of course, we had to go with the NARS concealers because I feel like the NARS concealers are kind of just general holy grails. A lot of people absolutely adore these guys, and to be very honest with you, the Fenty concealer, not my favorite at all. I actually really do not like the Fenty concealer. I find it to be way too drying for my liking. However, the NARS concealers I do really like. We have two of them over here, the Radiant Creamy Concealer and the Soft Matte Concealer. They're both very different formulas and I'll break down what each is really all about. So the Radiant Creamy Concealer I feel like is the most well-known from NARS. Like this has been on the Sephora top bestseller list for I don't even know how long, a very long time. And I think the reason why so many people like this is because it doesn't really lean too far in really any direction. It's a solid medium coverage. It has a natural finish, so it doesn't lean too dewy or too matte. It lasts really well, it doesn't crease, and it comes in so many different shades. And what I really love about the NARS base range as well as the Fenty base range is that it comes in so many different shades and so many different undertones with the concealers as well. So in the Radiant Creamy, I'm gonna be using the shade Light 2.8. I'm going to apply this underneath my eyes. This shade has a very light peachy, kind of yellowy undertone to it. It's not super brightening for my skin tone, but it's going to do a nice job of just concealing my under eye dark circles. Is this my absolute favorite concealer that's ever existed? No. I actually had a bit of a roller coaster relationship with it. When I first started using it, I didn't like it at all. And then I started to liking it just fine. Like, it worked for me, but it was never my absolute favorite. There's a lot of other concealers that I do prefer just from my own personal preferences. I do prefer something that's a little bit more hydrating, and I actually do prefer the NARS Soft Matte Concealer over the Radiant Creamy just because it's so unique, and I truly have nothing else like this in my collection. So the Soft Matte Concealer is completely different from the Radiant Creamy. As you can see, just even in its form, it's totally different. It is a potted concealer, and you can tell from the name itself, it is a soft matte concealer. Normally, again, I do not like matte products, but this is totally an exception because this matte product, even though it doesn't have any shine or glow or emollients to it, I still find it to be pretty flattering, and I really like this because it will kind of blur wherever you put it. Kind of similar to the Fenty Eavesdrop, honestly. I never really feel like I need to set it down with powder for it to last, which is great too, and just overall, it's a really nice consistency. So I'm gonna be going in with light 2.3, which is a little bit lighter than the Radiant Creamy Concealer that I just used, and I'm just gonna use this to just conceal a couple key areas of my face where I want just a little bit more coverage. So around my nose, on my nose, and it's just such an easy concealer to use. I take a fluffy brush, dip it directly into the pot. You really don't need a lot, and it just airbrushes onto the skin. And I actually love using this as a foundation, so I won't put it all over my face, obviously, but I'll just spot conceal with it on the areas that I am a little bit red that I want to conceal, and it really blends so nicely into my natural skin. For my setting powder, I'm going to be going in with another NARS product. This is the Soft Velvet Pressed Powder in the shade Desert. So this is a tinted powder, and this is a little bit heavier than I typically like to go with my setting powder. You guys know I'm a big fan of the Kosas Cloud Set because it's super lightweight and it almost doesn't really show up on the skin. This is a powder that will definitely show up on the skin. It gives you a little bit of coverage. It does do a really pretty job of blurring the skin and kind of giving you that velvety finish. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this, and I'm not really gonna put too much on, but I'm just gonna sweep it on my cheeks just to kind of blur my pores even more and set everything down in place. It doesn't look heavy, it doesn't look drying, but if you want something that has coverage, this is actually a really beautiful product and I find pretty underrated. So now let's move on to bronzer. We're gonna be using both NARS and Fenty for the bronzer. For the cream bronzer, I'm gonna be going in with the new NARS Laguna 02 Original Bronzing Cream. This isn't really new, but they did relaunch this. This was initially a limited edition product, but they relaunched it with more shades. This is actually quite an intense cream bronzer. It's really pigmented. It definitely shows up on the skin. This is not like your no makeup look cream bronzer. You can definitely work it into the skin and make it look nice and natural, but if you want like a super bronzy look, this will absolutely give it to you. I don't normally like scented products, but this smells like a tropical paradise. NARS has a body oil that smells exactly like this. Oh my God, it just smells like summer to me. It's so delicious. So I'm gonna apply this with this Huda Beauty Face Cheek Color Brush. It's kind of like a semi-dense synthetic brush. You see how much product that applies? I would say this is not the most beginner-friendly cream bronzer. Like, there's some cream bronzers out there that are very easy to work with. You can't really mess them up because they're just so sheer and easy to blend onto the face. Like I said, you're totally able to blend it out easily, but it gives you that pigment. So if you're just starting out, this may not be the best option for you, but if you want something that makes you look super bronze, you may really, really love this. I actually wore this to a photo shoot the other day and it lasted me for the entire day. I did even put a powder on top to set it down, and my bronzer still looked pretty flawless like 12 hours later. Today we're gonna be layering a little bit of powder bronzer on top because I have this new Fenty Sunstalker Face and Eye bronzer and highlighter palette. I actually have not even tried this out yet. Unfortunately, one of my highlighter shades broke, which is very unfortunate. Still usable, but half of it is missing. Now, bronzer palettes I feel like aren't totally necessary for everybody. They're really great for makeup artists when you want something in your kit that is going to have a bunch of different options, or if you're somebody who likes to experiment with matte browns on the eyes, this is actually a great palette to use on the eyes as well. But for the everyday person, I would say just get one bronzer and you'll probably be good to go. I believe all the shades in here are from the existing Sun Stalker powder bronzers that already exist. I typically use Private Island, which is the second shade right over here. Into Sun is what I use when I'm a little bit more pale. The Fenty powder bronzers are really beautiful. Again, what Fenty always does really, really well is their shades. And anytime they launch any type of color selection, they're always incredibly inclusive and really do have something for everybody. So that definitely includes their bronzers as well. They have a ton of bronzers for all different skin tones. And the formula is really nice. It's very buttery. It blends really nicely. It's actually one of my favorite bronzers. It's one of my go-tos. Blended so nicely on top of that cream. There's no harsh lines anywhere. Looks super nice. Before I go any further, I actually almost forgot to apply some lip balm. This is another new product from Fenty. It is the Cherry Treat Conditioning Lip Oil. It's actually from Fenty Skin. So this is supposed to be a lip treatment and not just a lip gloss. I've been wearing this nonstop. It is a really, really delicious lip oil. It feels great on the lips. And this definitely feels more hydrating than the other lip oils that I've tried, like the Dior lip oil, even the Clarins lip oil. Those make your lips look so good, and they are hydrating to a certain point. But this actually feels like it does something to my lips. And it gives you such a nice amount of shine, a little bit of a tint, so it's a great everyday lip product. I'm a very big fan of this. Let's do some blush. I'm going to use a cream blush from Fenty. This is the Cheeks Out Freestyle Cream Blush in the shade Strawberry Drip, which is one of my favorites from their collection. The shade is very bright and very fun. You can totally share it out if you want to make it more wearable, or just build it up if you want something super bright and poppy. Fenty does do very unique and very cool blush shades. They have an orange one that's really, really fun, and you don't really see super bright blush shades all that often. So it's nice to have a brand that comes out with a really great formula with a really cool shade selection. It's not like your typical neutral pinks. Even though this is very bright, it applies very, very nicely and very easily. You just gotta go in with a little bit at a time. And this is actually a Fenty brush. It's the 125. Fenty brushes are actually really awesome. A lot of their brushes are some of my favorites that I gravitate towards quite a bit. That's not often the case with brands. Like sometimes brands will come out with brushes and they really won't do much for me, but for whatever reason, the Fenty brushes I really, really like. NARS too, actually. NARS also has some really good brushes. This is a NARS brush that I really love. It's the number 13, and it's a really massive powder brush. I really love this for bronzer because it's pretty huge, so you can get a lot of surface area at once, but even though it's big, it's not too big or overwhelming. It has a bit of a taper to it, and it's kind of skinny despite its hugeness and fluffiness. So even though it's so big, you can still be precise with it, and it does a really good job of just like buffing out the product because it's so fluffy. It's just a really nice quality, very luxurious feeling brush. For highlighter, I'm gonna go in with another Fenty product. This is the Kilowatt Freestyle Highlighter Duo in Afternoon Snack and Mo Honey. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this is not really my personal preference when it comes to a highlighter because it's very, very, very intense. It's definitely sparkly, but even though it's not my personal preference for like day to day, I still appreciate this highlighter and I still really like it for what it is. So I'm actually going to spray my face first with a little bit of setting spray. This is my Caudalie Beauty Elixir. And I'm going to apply this highlighter on my slightly damp face, and this is going to actually make it even more intense. To apply it, I'm actually going to use this NARS brush. I don't know the name or number of this, but I'll link it down below. It's a very small, fluffy, tapered powder brush. And I'm going to take the shade Afternoon Snack, which is the slightly less glittery of the duo. And then just pop that right on top of the cheekbones. And if you apply a small amount and use a very fluffy brush and really work it into the skin, it gives you a really, really pretty, very glossy highlighted look. I almost completely forgot that we were doing eyeshadow, so let's move to the eyes now. I'm going to actually prime my lids with a little bit of my NARS concealer just so the eyeshadow is something to stick to. And I kind of want to work with blacks and grays. I have this palette here from Fenty. It looks like this. It's one of the Snap Shadows, and this one is in the shade 6. And I'm also going to layer one of these NARS single eyeshadows. This is a dual intensity eyeshadow in the shade Titiana, and this is so pretty. It is a blue-gray graphite color, has a lot of shimmer to it. I've actually never used this. I'm gonna go into the bronzer palette and I'm going to grab this shade, which is the lightest bronzer shade. It's Into Sun, and I'm gonna use this as my transition shade because there's no shade in the palette that is light enough as to be a transition shade, and I wanna be sure that I have a nice blend. So I'm just gonna quickly apply this above my crease. Now I'm gonna go into the palette, and I'm going to go into this shade in the corner. It's a medium toned grayish color, and I'm going to start to build this up into my crease. And I haven't used the Fenty Snap Shadows in a minute, so I kind of forget how they perform. So we are going to test that out today and see how they do. I feel like this eyeshadow isn't really applying how I want it to apply. It's not super intense. It's kind of going on a little bit chalky, which is very weird and unexpected. I remember having good experiences with the Snap Shadows, but I haven't used them in a while. Okay, now I'm gonna go into the middle shade at the top, which is just a deeper version of the last shade we used. Okay, this is giving me more. And I'm gonna put this on the outer corner and also work it into the crease. Is it crazy that I don't remember the last time I did a smoky eye? Kind of forget how to do my eyeshadow, but that's okay. I'm just like going back and forth. I'm blending, I'm applying, blending, applying until I'm happy with how things are checking out. I think what I'm gonna do, because the first shade that we applied wasn't super intense, I'm gonna go back into it and just put that on the rest of the lid just to give my lids a light gray base. I honestly don't love how those eyeshadows blended. I've definitely worked with much better eyeshadows. So not a super huge fan of those, but that's okay. We're gonna go in with the NARS single shadow. Like I said, I've never used this before, so I'm so curious to see how this is gonna look. Oh my God, it's very pretty. Oh yeah. I really like this because the shimmer is very fine. It's a beautiful, mature sparkle. Not too chunky or intense, but it definitely gives you that dimension. Kind of feel like that saved the look just a little bit. Now I'm gonna take a Fenty eyeliner. This is the Fly Pencil Longwear Pencil Eyeliner in Cause I'm Black, and it's just a black gel liner pencil. And I'm gonna put this on my upper lash line, making a little bit of a wing. I think this pencil's slightly dried out. I'm taking a little brush just to kind of smudge it a bit. It's not really smudging though. This isn't the easiest liner to work with. I'm gonna take the black from the palette and actually just use this on top of the liner just to smudge it and intensify it a bit. I don't know if it's just completely dried out or if this is just what it is, but it's like barely applying. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and apply my mascara and brows, and I'll be back to finish off the rest of the look. So now moving on to the lips. I was initially going to use the Fenty lip stains because they're brand new and so many people have been talking about them, but because I recently tested them out in a video, I figured I would try another Fenty lip product that I actually have not yet tried, and that's the new Fenty lipstick. They come in this very fun lipstick holder. You twist the bottom and then it pops up and you have your lipstick. And this is a refillable component, so you can buy other lipsticks without the packaging and just pop it in to your existing packaging. So I'm first gonna go in with 05 Pose Queen. Okay, this is a soft matte finish, very creamy. This color desperately needs a lip liner, so let me go grab one. So I unfortunately do not have any NARS or Fenty lip liner, so I'm just gonna use this Huda Beauty lip contour in Warm Brown. As far as the formula for this lipstick, by the way, it definitely feels very comfortable. It seems to be a nice hydrating matte. For lip gloss, I'm gonna go in with something clear and sparkly. I'm gonna use this NARS Broken Glass lip gloss. If you want something that will give you major shine and a lot of dimension because of the sparkle, this is a beautiful gloss. The sparkle is also gold, so it kind of adds a little bit of warmth too. So that's it for the entire look. I really love how both of these brands mesh into each other. I feel like all the products just worked really well together. What I learned from this video is that I need to do a smoky eye more often because when you do not put any smokiness on the lower lash line, it actually keeps it pretty wearable. I would love to hear all of your thoughts in the comments about the products that I use. What are some of your favorites and least favorites from both Fenty and NARS? And hit the thumbs up button if you did enjoy today's video, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already and want to see more videos from me. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.